here's the thing. It's like, yes, he's about to start. All right, hold on a second. So welcome back. We're to Shift Tactic. This is class number 4. Hold on a second, I'll move this off. So this is class number 4. Today we're going to go over shift tactic 5 and 6. So hopefully, Mary, you've already kind of looked at it and read it and are ready for some dialogue. It's just the 3 of us right now because whoever watches this is just going to be on Zoom. So, or the recording, should I say. So participation is important. We're having a dialogue, okay? And you're looking at me like, oh crap. So let me ask you both, were you here for lead generation tactic last week? Morgan taught it. Mary, I think you were here, Mary. You say you weren't?
No.
Okay. Mary, can you share with us what was, I mean, you can go back in the book and look, see if there's something you highlighted or wrote down. What was your biggest takeaway with shift tactic for lead generation?
Well, a lot of it, we were talking about prospecting and marketing, and that you have to do both. And one of the things that I went back and looked at that I had written down was talking about how you contact people, and people will contact you if there's some direct benefit to them. So that just kind of resonated with me after the fact. I don't even really remember writing it down.
Yeah.
And then another part of it was that customers and the clients want someone who knows the right answers, not all of the answers. So not being afraid to say, I'll get back to you, or, you know.
Right. No, that's important. And just, I saw, it's funny you hit on prospecting and marketing, because before I got into 5 and 6, I dogged there in that ear in my book from last week, because I didn't get to join that class. Morgan led it, and I had a ton of notes, and I think that's really the big one for me, is definitely the prospecting versus marketing. I think when market's good and leads are plentiful, and you got plenty of business, people rely heavily on marketing, whether it's social media, print marketing, video, etc. And they forget about the prospecting piece, which is really where you're connecting and having conversations with people. And I think sometimes when people say prospecting, I think there's like an assumption almost like, oh, that's cold calling and sales.
That's
No.
just one part of it.
It's conversations, absolutely. And yet, here's the beauty. Many agents, I was talking to one today out of Marco, and their prospecting was the dog park.
Yeah.
It's wherever you're out there making relationships with people.
Well, I was thinking about that with I'm sorry, I forget the guy's name that you had on today.
Joe.
Yeah. So I mean, what an amazing opportunity, being that he has his home watch business, to actually be able to do that. And so I was thinking, for me, I'm like, I don't have that. And once again, well, like the dog park. Well, I have a pit bull. I can't take my dog to the dog park because she would eat every other dog. So I don't have that. I'm like, I'm in the women's club, but I did send a newsletter, and they reprimanded me because I'm not supposed to use the mailing list. So it's like, okay, I can't do that.
Right.
So I'm like, and then my social circle is, Kathy, her, Becky, they're all, I'm like, okay, so I don't have that. Like, so I'm trying to think, what can I do? I mean, I need to find a different something that,
Well, there's door-to-door open houses, client parties, networking events, social functions and community events, seminars, booths at an event, teaching and speaking opportunities. That was one of the big reasons I was teaching, right? Because that put me in front of referral partners. There's allied resources, so people that will do business with the clients that you can refer out. As you're referring clients for flooring, windows, etc. I expect that you send my some referrals my way too.
Yeah. That would be, I think, definitely one way, because that's something that I'm always, people are asking me, somebody or something like that.
Yeah.
So but then they're working with so many other realtors too. So how do you get them to,
Well, it's a great.
Your part out. I mean,
Well, you're absolutely right, and the chapter we're going to get into is going to allude to that, because here's the thing. To your point, all your contacts are being contacted by other realtors. They know other realtors. They probably know 10 of them. The key is here, when real estate, when either they have to buy or sell, or they come across somebody who needs to buy or sell, who's top of mind?
Okay.
Who is top of mind for them? Because they got 10 realtors they know.
Right.
Who's the one that comes up? The one that comes up that they're gonna refer is the one that they're constantly seeing marketing from, is in relationship with them, contacting them, sending them the happy birthday cards, sending them the happy anniversary cards, engaging with their photos on social media. It's the ones that are engaging with them and in a relationship with them. They're the ones that are gonna come top of mind when you got 10 people competing for the one client. And this conversation really brings us, hi Nancy, this conversation really brings us to the next chapter, because here's the thing, just because we're lead generating doesn't mean we're doing business just yet.
No.
All we're doing right now is putting names into a bucket, into a funnel, if you will. I like to use the analogy of a funnel, then at the bottom, there's a deal that comes out of it. You can never have too many leads. So when you go, so let's get into tactic 5. So tactic 5 starts on page 83 in the book, and I'll give you page numbers as I'm going through it, because again, a lot of it I'm reading off the book. So on page 83, it says, get to the table, lead conversion. It says here in the second paragraph of page 83, if you do lead generation, but don't get a name and number, what good is it? If you get a name and number, but can't get an appointment, what good are they? As important as lead generating activities are, if you can't get a name, number, and ultimately an appointment, what have you really accomplished? Mary, what have you accomplished? Say it again. Now you're unmuted.
Basically just getting somebody's information.
Well, if you don't have that, yeah, well, exactly, right? If there's no appointment, all you got is information. Now, granted, can we do something with that information?
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, we're going to talk about this, because that's really what.
Working on them for the appointment.
Exactly. This is what this chapter really alludes to. On the next page, so again, we were on 83. On the next page, it says the central truth is that your success in a shifting market will hinge entirely on your ability to convert leads. Many agents spend significant amount of time and money in their lead production and proficiency, but then neglect their conversion competence. When it comes to lead generation, just realize that you're talking about two things: lead generating activity and lead converting to an appointment. So how do we get better at converting to an appointment?
I think the biggest thing is that you have to just, obviously, it's the obvious one. You have to ask. You have to ask, because you'll never, you can just say, oh, hey, let me know if you ever need something. You don't say, hey, I would like to talk to you. Can we meet this week?
Yeah.
It's different because, people always tend to, like, you think that they'll call you, but people don't really call.
That's in the book.
Really
We're actually going to talk about that. Yeah, people won't call you. Yeah.
And you think that you've told them and they're gonna call you, but they actually won't.
Yeah.
And then you find out later, oh, well, my neighbor came over and she's a realtor,
Yeah. I'm jumping ahead in the book, and I'm just going to say now, because the topic is where we're at. This is no judgment, no offense. So I'm going to be very clear. I'm not trying to offend anybody. So anybody watching the call, on the call now, anybody watches the recording later, it's not meant to offend you. And yet I cringe when people are so hyper-focused on having this amazing business card for them to hand out to people.
because they don't call.
Say it again, because they don't.
They don't call, but you still gotta have the business.
You gotta have.
It's not just about that. You have to do the work.
No, absolutely, and we're actually going to talk a little bit about that too. So if you jump to page 87 in the book, this is kind of going to take up really most of the conversation that we're about to have when it comes to converting. There's a chart on the page of 87, and at the top of that chart it says capture, and it's a triangle upside down that says capture on it. Then it goes into a cylinder that says connect. So this is what this is referring to is the lead conversion process. You're capturing information, you're connecting with that person, that individual, and then you're closing to an appointment. So for those, yeah, and I know, Mary, you have the book in front of you, but let me just kind of map this out so that everybody here can understand the flow. So again, we're talking about the lead conversion process. So up top, we have capture. All right, little so in there. And we have connect. That's what it ultimately looks like. And there's a fourth piece though, which we'll talk about in a little while when we get deeper into the chapter. It's capturing the lead information. So use an example of the dog park, take the full thing, get away with it. I know it's tough. Who do you meet there and how and are you capturing their information? And then are you connecting with them after that initial contact? And then are you closing for an appointment? Now, ultimately, that's the natural flow of how we want things to go. Sometimes it doesn't work that way. So there's a fourth piece we'll cover a little bit. But for now, that's the flow we want to get. I don't know, Nancy, if you can see it or not, but if you just look up the lead conversion process in the shift book, or you can even Google it, you'll get an image of that. So in that page at the bottom, it says the better you become at converting leads into appointments, the faster you will be able to move and the more opportunities you'll have. This next one is really eye-opening for me. This is from the National Association of Realtors. It says that the real competition in real estate is getting to the table. Getting to the table first or second is what matters. Getting to the table first or second is what matters. When you keep going, it then starts to get into deeper about capture, connect, and close. And it says here, conversion success comes to those who continually and repeatedly do three things with every lead. They capture, connect, and they close that appointment. Now, here's the problem. When we get into this industry, any new industry where we don't know the language of real estate or the language of whatever it is we're doing, we tend to wing it. We tend to wing it. So instead of meaning, you know, I'm actually going to give you a real life example of something that I've seen happen. I've seen agents, for example, back, and I know some agents are still paying for Zillow, but back when it was like really big and people were paying thousands and thousands for Zillow, they were paying for these leads. And I remember one agent, this is actually before I even joined KW, so this is back in 2016, just so you can see, even at where I was at, this woman came in and she was just talking to our, kind of like our mentor, and she was crying. She was in tears. She was in tears because she had just spent $2,000 a month for 3 months because she was in a contract with Zillow, so $6,000 for all these leads that were supposed to come in and bring her thousands and thousands in gross commission income. She didn't do any business with those $6,000 that she spent. And why do we think she didn't do business? She got leads, so the leads worked. There were leads coming to her. What do you think was the problem?
She wasn't following up and making the calls and just really working the lead, honest, you know.
Okay, so that's a potential, not following up and not working the lead. What else? There's more. Let's say she was calling and following up and working the lead. What could cause her to still fail? Or any agent to be able to still fail in that situation?
No connection.
Okay, so no person-to-person connection. Maybe it's not a right fit personality-wise. Is that what you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a high probability for sure. There's more, but that's a good one too, because here's the thing. Have you guys all heard of DISC from Tony Robbins? This personality types. You know, there's the social, there's the detailed, there's the high aggressive individual, and there's that personality structure. We all have this profile, and so do the people we work with. Do you, as the agent, know the DISC profile of the person you're speaking to by just having a conversation with them, so you can adapt your personality style? And the answer to your point, that's where they don't connect, because they don't know how to read that person's personality type and communicate in a way that provides a better chance of a connection, if that makes sense. What else? There's more. What other reasons would there be for the agent not converting? I mean, so let's assume now they're connecting, and let's assume they're making the calls to the leads that come in. What's the next problem?
The leads aren't serious.
That could be. Keep going. What else could happen?
You know, other agents, I'm sure we're getting those same leads.
That's true. Other agents were, remember, we're all competing for that first and second spot.
They were a better fit, you know. Maybe they took a lower commission rate. I mean, who knows? It could be so many things.
Let's assume all things equal, the same commission. What else could cause you not to be able to convert those leads? I'm gonna give you the answer. I just wanted to, I want to see if it comes up as we keep thinking through this.
Did Zillow have their own agents at that time?
No.
Wasn't in real estate.
No, they didn't.
No.
All right, you ready for the answer?
Yeah.
Let me see. I'm gonna back my way into this. I don't know if you've ever been in a room where I said this. Do you know the 5 jobs of the real estate agent?
Yes, I wouldn't be able to name them all, but lead gen.
Lead gen,
I know them.
help, Mary, Nancy.
Rolling script playing.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. That's it.
Conversation.
She didn't know the conversation. She had all these leads, but she didn't know how to convert and connect those leads.
Yeah.
Connecting, because here's the thing, it even says it in the book, and I think sometimes we confuse ourselves and think, you know, I meet you, oh, you have a dog? Oh my God, I have a dog too. Like, wow, that's cool. And you start talking about your dog. Oh, you ever, Nissan? Me too. I have a Nissan. I have an Altima. Which one do you have? So we start thinking that we're connecting with people. We're really not. We're not converting. We're not converting to business. So that's the key thing, is that the script practicing. Unfortunately, it is overlooked. We overlook how important it is to script practice. Let me read to you what the book actually says. This is on page 89, right there in the middle paragraph. There begins with many agents, and a little bit further it says, "This isn't a game of chance, but a game of scripts and systems. Scripts ensure that you effectively say what needs to be said in the most powerful way with the least amount of effort. Because it is the script or dialogue you practice and internalize, you don't have to be a master of making things up as you go."
And that's one of the hardest things to do is for me is the wrong way. I don't know why. Like in a class setting, when like any Grimes and any calls to me, I'm just like I clam up. I'm like, oh, it's hard. It's hard to do that. But I like to listen to other people, because I feel like I at least get something out of it. But if it's me for some reason on that end, I get just very nervous. So I feel like I don't even retain. I'm just.
Tell me more, like, well, what's causing this?
Well,
nervousness?
it's my personal thing. I don't like to speak in front of people.
Okay.
And if you're in a classroom with a bunch of people, so maybe script and role play in a smaller setting would be different, but.
Maybe one-on-one with somebody?
I don't know, but I do like to listen to that, in other settings, and I've been on some calls and I'm like John McLeod, and I'm like, don't call on me. If you call on me, I'm not gonna come to the class,
Mhm.
So.
Yeah, you bring up something interesting, reminds me.
I can't be the only person that feels that way.
No, you're not. And, I always like to share my own personal experiences and giving examples. I used to be the type that got very nervous in front of groups, and I'm not saying I don't anymore. I still, especially if it's like a brand new group, I have to get to show. I feel like sometimes I'm an actor, my mind playing how this is gonna go, and it's showtime, go out there and present. Yet before real estate, I was like a nervous wreck when it came to that. I had a store of 70 plus employees, 70, 80 employees in season. And even that was nerve-wracking for me. And yet I built up confidence finally because I knew the people, right? So repetition would cause me to get better. So when we think about practicing your scripts through repetition, you will become more comfortable. The other thing though is when I knew I was getting into real estate, here's what I knew. I knew that if I did not get comfortable talking in front of groups and talking to strangers and showing confidence when I do it, and if I got nervous, that my real estate business would not grow to the level that I wanted it to. I knew I had to grow within me first before I could get out there and kill it.
Yeah.
So when you say to yourself, and we're coaching, we're safe from here, it makes me nervous, and whatever self-talk you say, that's what's going to be true always until you change the narrative.
Yeah.
So
now I'm not, now to clarify though, as far as out in the setting, showing property and talking with clients and stuff, I'm not nervous at all.
Okay. It's around your peers.
I was in the beginning.
Mhm.
Very nervous about that. But I got comfortable with it pretty quick, and so I don't have that. But yeah, exactly. It's just it's in the room, that closed door where all the eyes are on me.
Yeah, no, I get it. What I highly encourage, I mean, I don't know if everybody here has played some type of sport. Here's what we know in sports. You don't just go out there on the Major League Baseball field and just hit home runs and make these plays and pitch and all that. You practice. It's no different. Actors, Denzel Washington being one of my favorite actors of all time. I know he doesn't just show up to the movie set and gives this amazing performance. He works on it. So the question you have to reflect on and ask yourself, am I working on my skill, on my performance? Because when you're in a buyer consultation, listing consultation, it's showtime. You're giving a performance. So you can't just go do a performance and knock it out of the ballpark. Very few people can do that. And you perform in different ways. You perform when you go to the dog park and you're lead generating. That's a performance. You perform when you're calling your friends and you're connecting and catching up, and then you're transitioning into a real estate conversation. All that's a performance that requires practice. And the more you practice, the better you get at it, the better you'll get at the conversation, because the difference between the three of you right here on the call is simply who's going to do. It's not going to be all dependent on your scripts, and yet the person who gets to the table quickest out of the three of you, let's say for one client, you're all the three going after, it's going to be the one that has the right conversation and spent the time practicing it and can convert to being that first or second appointment. So just kind of let that settle in. And you know, obviously, Mary, you're in coaching with me, and anybody that's in coaching, we are going to have it starts next week, actually 8:30 to 9, our script practice call. So we'll have a 30-minute coaching session as a group where we're practicing scripts together and going through what to say, what not to say, and hear the errors, like just being open, practicing, making mistakes, because the more mistakes you make in the practice setting, the better you'll be when it's time to showtime. And what's really neat, and what I'll tell you about script practicing and role playing, is that you probably want to have a few different partners. And the reason for that is because we all have different personality types. We've already kind of concluded that based on the Tony Robbins assessment, there's different personality types. You want to make sure you're script practicing with those different personality types. So it gives you practice and adapting to those people. Yeah. Any question on just script practicing in general on that piece? Don't underestimate the value there, because again, you are practicing for a performance. And I'll use one final example. Do you think when I come to like a meeting today and we're having this conversation around this book, do you think I practiced this before? Or do you think I just came in and talked about it?
Oh, no, I'm sure you
Practice it.
thought of, you said.
I played it in my mind already. I played it in my mind. Here's the thing, I highlight a lot of things in this book, and yet I see, I internalize the book. I internalize the key things I highlighted that are really important that I want to share with you. Yet I may not share all of them, because it's also be based on how the conversation is flowing.
Right.
Right? Same thing when you're on a listing presentation. You might have a great presentation that is outlined a certain way, A, B, C, this is how you're going to do it. Client may throw you off. And you got to be able to learn to adapt and adapt to the conversation that they want.
Right.
Right. All right. So now the book, what it does after this section is that it starts to capture, connect, an appointment. It starts breaking them down to their own chapter or subsections. So on page 91, the main thing I wanted to call out on there, it says the first goal when you encounter someone by prospecting or marketing is to capture their name and contact information. It says on the next page, on page 92, first paragraph, a lead is only a lead if you captured a person's contact information. If you can't call them, email them, write them, or drop by their home or office and ultimately send an appointment, it is not a lead. You want me to repeat that again? Everybody got that? If you don't have a way to reach them, it is not a lead. On the next page, it says, this goes back to the cards and what we were talking about. When someone is on page 93, middle paragraph, when someone asks me for my card, my reply as I smile, pull out my pen and poise to write is thanks for asking. I'm sorry, I don't have one with me, but what is your name and address and I'll get one to you. This is very straightforward and works every time. Remember, you're in the capture business. It doesn't say up there, hand out my card. Now, granted, listen, I get it. There's situations where that's what it is. You're not going to be able to get the phone number. But here's the reason behind that. I'll hear this in the bowl room or just in general when agents are celebrating a win. And I want them to celebrate the win. Yeah, I want to also encourage the right behaviors or better behaviors. Oh my God, I was at this event this weekend and handed out my card to 50 people, man. Like, oh, I'm excited. Got business coming. Do we? Mary, do we have business coming because we handed out 50 business cards?
No, might not have even made one connection. Just because you
Absolutely.
somebody a card, but didn't stand there and have a conversation or get to know something about them.
Exactly.
Fair.
So, you know, I keep mine simple when I run in. Like, oh, you know what? Don't have one with me. I left it in the car. You know what? Let me get you my mobile app. So leveraging our technology. Oh, you know, let me share with you my mobile app. All my contact is there. And then I choose whether I'm going to send them the mobile app by email or phone. What do you prefer, email or phone? No wrong answer, but what would you prefer to send that information to, the invitation to the app? Do you want to send it by phone or email?
Phone.
Phone? Okay, very cool. By phone? It can be either. I like phone because it's direct. With a phone, I can call them, I can text them, and I can do a reverse search, find out where they live, and get additional information I need. And what's cool is that with a phone, and once you save it in your phone book, what happens with the way technology is today? You're gonna all of a sudden one day be on Facebook and it's gonna suggest a friend to you. That's the person I just met the other day. Now you're also making a social media connection as well there. So now you're starting to gather information, platforms, and different methods of communicating with that client. When I used to do open houses, that was another great example. I love the whole sign-in sheet and all that. It's all great. Sometimes it was bad numbers, bad emails, or they wouldn't do it at all. So how would I try to capture information in an open house? Again, I go back to the app. I have the app open and I would have either like a neighborhood market report of the neighborhood that we're in, or a listing that's not that particular listing, or just in general, when you open up the app, it pops up the homes all the way around you that are active on the market and available. I pop that up and I just show them on my phone. I show them something they may have never seen before, whether it be the house or the neighborhood report, something. They'd be like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then I say, hey, would you like me to share that with you? You can actually do this on your phone too. Yeah, what is that? Well, let me share it to you. What's the phone number? And I'll send it to you right now.
So I have a question.
Go for it.
Because in open houses, I do the sheet and I make sure that I kind of like tell them they have to fill it out. You know, I don't really like that, but I've never really had too many people that haven't. But I also, at the same time, try to share the app too, because I want to get myself in their phone. And I'm like, this way, wherever you are, you can be, searching. Even when you go back home, you can search your own neighborhood and see what prices and values are in there. And then, oh yeah, well, I already have an app just like that. How do you get them? Like, is there a way to convince them to take your app, even though they're already using Zillow app or whatever? Like, do you have a pointer there?
No, I don't have a pointer. Here's my pointer. My pointer is simply this. And we're going to use open houses as an example for all this as we move forward. So when they come in, there's the approach of, hey, please sign in, my seller requires it. Sometimes they will, sometimes they still won't. There's the asking politely. So there's different ways to ask it. Then there's the mobile app, how I explained it to you as well. It's whatever you're most comfortable asking and the way you're most comfortable, the way that you're most comfortable doing it. If I can't get somebody to share information with me through one of those three methods, whether it's like really direct, indirect, or hey, I have a value item I want to show you, then realistically, I'm good. Like, move on.
Yeah, that's different. No, I meant like if they say, my question was really, I guess, more related to the app. If they say, oh, I already have an app like that, Zillow.
I tell them.
How do I?
I would tell them, hey,
better than Zillow.
I simply say this because I truly believe it as a fact. Well, yeah, you know what? I get it. Zillow's a very popular app. The challenge I see with it is that sometimes you'll see properties on there that are not actually available anymore or under contract. This is going to be a lot more accurate for you. Give it a shot. See if you like it more. If you don't, delete it.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's another way that I've done it. The key here when you're trying to capture information and they no matter what, you hit a wall and they won't give it to you, is that you move on.
Yeah, because they're.
I'd rather
they're
know
not
up front.
interested. Right, exactly, instead of spending all the time.
Exactly.
and They weren't really serious anyway.
Exactly,
Or just
exactly.
less than a day.
All right, let's go to page 94 if you're following along with me. And on page 94, now we start getting into connecting. Let me see here. And I'm gonna spend more time on this chapter. The next one, I'm gonna go kind of quick through. I'm just looking at the time here. I want to make sure I time block here myself, right? So on the next chapter, it talks about connecting. So we talked about capturing. Now on connecting, it says the fundamental theme of connecting is curiosity, to know who someone is, to understand their wants and needs, and to become aware of their worries and concerns. At this point, you are just investigating, you're not selling. A little bit further down, it says the fundamental philosophy of connecting is people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And it says connecting, and I used this example earlier, connecting is not, oh, you play golf, I play golf. Oh, you like dogs, I like dogs. That's not connecting. It gives you 6 connection questions down at the bottom of page 95. And when you actually get a little bit deeper into the chapter, it actually gives you examples. So page 95 gives you the body of what the questions look like. And then page 96 and 97 will actually give you an example. I'll cover 1 or 2 of them based on time here. So the 6 connection questions are: who are they? What do they want or need to do? Where do they want or need to do it? Why do they want or need to do it? When do they want or need to do it? And how do they plan to do it? So that's what it talks about as far as connection questions. So let's talk about how that actually comes to life. So for example, the first one is, who are they? So the first question you could potentially ask is, back up. If you would, please tell me a little bit about yourself. So that's an example of who are they. I'll cover 1 more. The next one, it says, what do they want or need to do? So questions you can potentially ask are, thanks for sharing that. Now, if you would, please tell me what you want to do. Or, so you folks called about Bandera Drive. Are you looking for a new home? Or, so you folks called to get the pricing information on Bandera Drive. Are you thinking of selling your home and looking for price comparisons? Like, what's the reason for their call? Right? So you're connecting. Once you get past those, again, this is on page 96, 97, you can get some examples of what they are. Then it says here, when you read them or role play them, they can feel stilted and overly repetitive. That's how it can feel to you, but when received, they feel warm and sincere. So this is just going back to script practicing and these questions that you ask. You think to yourself, because you're reading it as you're getting comfortable, they're like, man, it's not me, it doesn't sound like me. Well, it's not, because you haven't practiced it yet. And we think that the consumer is looking at us reading a piece of paper that, they're not receiving it the same way that we're internalizing it. What are you eating, Mary? They're not receiving it the same way. They're receiving it as soft and warm. All right, the next thing. So once you've you've captured, you connected, now we're closing. So we're on page 98. The big thing here says that the right approach to close for a meeting is the only approach. Just ask. Wow, Mary, you know what? I think with everything you shared with me, we can definitely find the right property for you. When would be a good time for you to meet at my office so we can discuss this a little bit further? Would a Monday at 2 or Tuesday at 5 be better for you? We sometimes get so caught up. I'm like, oh, I don't know how to ask. I'm like, oh, how should I do it? Just ask. Wow, you know what? I think we should meet. What's better for you? Tuesday at 2 or Friday at 3? One of the things I was teaching Mary the other day is, like, when you time block your calendar, you should already have predetermined when your listing appointments or when your appointments in general are. So you already know in the back of your mind, hey, I've already predetermined that at 5 o'clock on Friday, I'm doing an appointment. I don't know who it's with yet.
Look at your calendar and you just.
You already know it. You know what? Wow, we should really meet to discuss it a little bit further. Would you be available Friday at 5? When you know your time blocks, you can set an appointment much quicker. You don't have to say, oh, you know what? Let me look at my calendar and shoot you some options.
Because by that time you may have lost.
You lost them. You lost them. You lost them to the agent that was already ready to go. That had their scripts. All right. On page 100 and 101 are some other examples that you can go to for 10 closes that work. So it actually gives you some example of different closing techniques that you can utilize to set the appointment. Honestly, with 10 of them, you don't have to learn all 10. I would read what's on page 101 and figure out which one works best for you. That's what I would do. Jump to page 104, and this is the last piece, and then I'll go to the next chapter. On page 104 has the next piece that I was talking about that was missing. So when you're looking at this triangle, I don't even know if you can really see it, Mary and Nancy, so I apologize if you can't, but again, you can Google lead conversion process shift book in Google, and I'm sure you'll find the answer or the diagram. So here's what it is. I don't know if I'm spelling this right. You're capturing information, you're connecting with the intent of doing what again?
Getting the appointment.
Getting an appointment. Are they always going to give you an appointment? All right. This is where agents lose deals, and 6 months later, they find out on a Facebook post, wow, they bought a house. They told me they were not going to buy. What happened was that somebody else was cultivating that relationship with them. So when you connect and don't convert, now they go into your command database. Now you're calling them every 4 months. You're sending them 2 emails a month. You're inviting them to 2 events a year, and you're sending them 4 promotional items in a year. And you're probably doing birthday posts, birthday phone calls, anniversary calls, happy anniversary. You're cultivating that relationship. And here's what's going to happen when they think of real estate or know someone who is thinking of real estate, they're going to think, who? You, and then you can now set that appointment. It might not be with them, it might be even a referral they send your way. This is the piece right here. So what are the 5 jobs of the real estate agent? Lead generation, lead follow-up. We're just focused on, this is the follow-up piece. You know, agents will be like, oh, you know, they're not really ready to do anything for like a year, so never mind, I'm not gonna work that database. Here's what I found. Year 1 was the hardest, because you're starting from scratch. Year 2 got easier. Year 3, even easier. Why? Because of the cultivating that's happening in that time. Relationships that were built 2 years ago, 3 years ago, a year ago, now they're starting to come back around because you cultivated. Hey, I'm ready now. All of a sudden, you know, you have a goal of whatever it is, 25, 30 units, and half of that came through the fact that you just nurtured old relationships.
I'm sorry.
Yes, Nancy, go.
The name of the book you said is Lead Conversion Shift Process?
No, the book is called Shift.
Oh,
But if you
okay.
Google lead conversion process, if you just Google lead conversion process from Shift, you'll see this diagram if you can't see it up here.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Get the book, and it's on page 104 of the book, 104. The last piece of this chapter before I move on, actually, it's how do we cultivate? So I kind of alluded to that already just a moment ago when I said the 36 touch. That's when you're making 4 calls a year, 2 emails a month, 2 invites a year for events, and then 4 promotional items. So what could be a promotional item? It could be a postcard. It could be a calendar at the beginning of the year. It's anything to stay top of mind and say, hey, I'm in real estate. And by the way, I'm not saying to do this with people you don't know in random neighborhoods you don't know. These are the people that are in your database that you're building relationships with. Okay.
Well, I was just gonna say my for events, because like I have, you know, you say client events, but I don't have a ton of clients, you know, that are actually here. So how do you do an event for clients that are, you know, that you've met in an open house that don't, you know, I'm working with them, I'm cultivating, but they don't live here. So how do I do an event?
So I'm not the guy that's going to teach you how to do the event, but here's an example of what I've seen, because during COVID, this happened a lot. People weren't getting together. There were people doing like wine dinners, and they were literally opening up a Zoom, and saying, hey, we're all gonna have wine together and meet on Zoom. There had to be some agenda, maybe you were bringing in like a speaker,
Yeah.
something
Not
to draw people to
something
be, jump on a
get
Zoom
there.
call with you
Okay.
and bring something of value to them. That's just an example of
Yeah.
one that I heard.
No, that's a
Um,
good idea. Just like, I mean, you can take that anywhere, you know, you can put the right idea to it to.
Yeah, no limited thinking, don't create roadblocks. Another one that, you know, Halloween, this particular year, I did a coloring contest. So my event is, hey, so this is an event that was really tailored towards families with kids in my database, which tend to be a lot of the families in my database, or the people in my database. So that was my event. I was inviting people to a online coloring contest.
Okay, that's cool.
And I literally just took a free template. Actually, no, this one, yeah, I gave them a template of like off of Corolla. Is it Corolla? Corolla, the coloring? Crayola. I took a free template from Crayola and said, hey, here's the template we're going to use. Everybody's going to color the same template. The best one is going to be, or the winner was going to be selected by my daughter. So now, because remember, the key to an event and nurturing is, I don't care if they do or don't participate in the event. It's all the conversations around them and the fact that you're in relationship and you're staying top of mind. This relationship or this business is truly about being, having mind share in the people in your world. When they think real estate, they don't think of anyone else because no one else is doing it the way you do it. All right. So I'm 15 minutes left. I want to cover, in actually chapter 6, I got a few key things I want you to get out of it. So I'm going to hit those few, but I'm going to move a little bit quicker just so I can respect everybody's time. It's on page 109. Chapter 6 is called Catch People in Your Web, Internet Lead Conversion. Internet lead conversion. And I'm going to read this first paragraph. It's a little bit long, but I feel really just does a great job of kind of summarizing the idea here. A shift forces you to rethink almost everything you do. The scarcity of business and the competition for it tugs at your pocketbook and tests your willpower. One crucial area you may have to reassess is your lead generation internet strategy, which sits at the crossroads of expense management and lead generation. The shift has forced you to remargin your business and cutting any spending on everything that isn't leading to financial results. As a result, the expenses of your internet strategies are now under serious scrutiny. The shift has also forced you to refocus your lead generation on methods that deliver motivated leads ready to buy or sell today, and even demand that your long-term activities yield as much near-term business as possible. Consequently, the results from your internet strategy are now under serious scrutiny as well. And here's the hitch. Generating a quality lead from the internet is difficult in good times, and in a shift, it can be downright daunting. So let me ask you so I can know how deep to really get into here, because I'm going to focus on the conversation on who's with me today. Do either of you do any type of internet lead generation? Dina, Nancy, Mary? Yes,
You
no.
mean like bot leads?
Whether they're bot leads or you're doing ads on social media.
I did do a Facebook ad once. I didn't really get nothing that ever came about it. And I am doing some right now that I'm probably, actually I've decided that I'm going to cancel. I've been using that Elevate, or haven't had them come. And I did like a little trial package with the website, but it does give me leads. And I will say that some of the leads, I mean, they're, I think they're good. They're going to be a long-term probably nurture. Some of them are definitely interested in buying here. But I don't know what I'm spending. I feel like it's probably not worth it for me. That's just me.
Okay. All right. Nancy, Mary, any experience in this?
I have this company called Media. I don't know if you've heard of it before. They have provided me with a couple of leads. I have 2 of them that I'm working with right now, but I'm kind of stuck in what you were mentioning before about getting their information. But then I'm at the point where I send them, you know, properties for them to look at, and then I don't hear from them. I'll call them, and then he's like, I'm not sure right now whether I want to, you know, continue with this or I should wait. So I'm kind of in the middle of that right now.
Yeah. Nancy, you know, that what you just shared with us is really the example of what we were talking about earlier with the conversion conversation, and what does that dialogue look like? And here's the thing, without going on a soap opera, every buyer, before you're showing them homes, sending homes, you should be having a buyer consultation with. Just like we set a listing appointment to take the listing, we set a buyer consultation to take the buyer. When I say take the buyer, is getting mutual agreement that yes, you are my agent, and yes, I'm going to fully serve you as your realtor, and setting the expectation of what your responsibilities to them are as a transaction broker or single agent if you choose to use single agency. That's where that's in that consultation. That's when you take that, have that consultation, and you take that listing, that buyer, get the agreement. When you do that, you tend to do less of what you're running into, where you're sending properties, they go ghost, or you're just really not sure about motivation, because they're in a formal consultation. That's where you find out about all of their motivations, their wants, their desires, because ultimately the buyers that you should be focused on are they're ready, willing, and able. Ready, willing, and able.
Okay.
On page 110, it says here that you can lead generate all day, but if you don't have a system in place to convert those leads, you're wasting your time and money. The key here is how are you converting it? So I sum this up as this: it's speed to lead. If you're going to continue to do any type of online lead generation ads, you have to have a process in place to make sure that you're calling them within how many minutes you think, or days, or weeks?
Well, you need to call them in the first day.
First day, okay. What's even better?
Oh, well, right after the lead comes in, obviously is best.
Mhm.
Because I think one of us said it smart, would be that, oh yeah, but still, just like still, I mean, you're not the only person that's getting that lead. I mean, they've clicked on different multiple websites, and so even if it wasn't from the same company, they're still going to some other agent, and it just really depends on who's doing it first, calling them first, getting, and the thing that you have to do, like with what Nancy was saying is, because I've not done it with some, but I've done it with others, is you do have to call them right away and have that conversation. And then you can set them up on something, and it's one of those that maybe has to cultivate, and it might be a year before they can buy, but I've had the connection, I've made the conversation, and now I've put them in my database, and hopefully when they do decide to buy, I'm the one that they're going to remember, because I've been
top of mind and staying in touch and whatnot. Yeah, I think ultimately here's the thing to this: whether you're going to start doing some type of lead generating online or you already are doing it, the key is, are you seeing the return? And so that you don't run into the issue that this woman had in the story I gave you, do you have a process in place to first get to them? And what I would say is under 5 minutes. You should be calling, texting them, emailing them under 5 minutes. Calling is ideal, and yet sometimes we're in a class, we can't call them, right? Could you have your phone on and see the lead came in and walk out? Yeah, but here's what I do know. When it comes to anything on your calendar, I would say this: if you knew that if you came to my class today and from 1:30 to 2:30, you did not look at your phone and you were fully engaged in the conversation, if you knew that at the end of that time at 2:30, you were going to have $1 million listing and it's yours just because you participated and were fully in on the class and not on your phone or doing something else, would you get up, move? Would you get up and be on your phone? You wouldn't. Would you be all in? It's the same thing. So treat every appointment, whether it be with your family, whether it's a training, whether it's just an appointment to go get your hair done so you can disconnect, treat that like the $1 million listing. So when people tell me, oh, this came up, I just know that if it was $1 million listing, I know for a darn fact you would be there. It's what you prioritize. So that all said, I got on a soap opera there. Here's what I want to just go back. The point I want to make when it comes to this. If you're doing lead generation online or you intend to, make sure there's a system and a process for you to get to that lead within 5 minutes. The beauty of smart plans in Command, if you decide to do ads through Command, but by the way, remember, we talked about in the previous tactic, lead generation, you should be prospecting based, marketing enhanced. When we get to the marketing, that's what we're talking about. Maybe you're doing Facebook ads with some really good call to action to get them to hit learn more so that you can get their information. If you decide to go down that route, smart plans are already at the point where when a lead comes in and they inquire, you can set it up for an automated text message and an automated email literally to go out instantly. They will hit learn more on Facebook and they'll get a text within seconds of that going through. Did you guys know that I can do that?
So that's if you're doing a social media ad.
Through Command.
Okay.
Through Command. Through Command.
And you have to have the, what is it? Twilio.
Twilio, you got to set up your Twilio account. And here's what I'll tell you with lead generation through Command and doing ads to get leads. It's a science. You have to know the right combination, and the previous tactic talked about it, of the right message to get them to stop, the right message to get them to read, and then the right message to get them to hit learn more to get their information. When you get that down, by narrowing down what your niche is, you have a higher probability of converting. And the reality is those leads as a cost per lead, if you're doing it, it's gonna be a lot cheaper than you going out and some of these other sites that are out there, or in the scenario I gave you, paying $6,000 to your competitor. So when people say, oh, it's a bad lead, there's no such thing. It's the capturing process and the ability to convert. So, all right, I got 5 minutes. I want to hit on a couple quick things from this chapter. So on page 115 in this chapter, there's a lot of stuff in here that it's almost, I don't want to say common sense, but there's a lot of stuff that if you just plug into Command, it talks about things that you should have on your website. And it talks about just making sure that you're creating and maintaining some type of internet presence. You really should, because if you think about it, if I got your card or learned about you, I'm going to Google you, I'm going to check you out on Facebook, and I'm going to see what comes up, right? So does your storefront look good online? The beauty with KW and the websites that are already available to you is that they look good. Literally everything the book teaches around having an online presence, KW Command does for you. And on page 115, it's highlighted here. It says the elements of a great agent website, and it gives a couple of different buckets of things that your website should provide you. When I look at this list, it's like, man, KW's Command website literally has all of this already. So you don't have to go out there and recreate the wheel and do another website. All right, without a question, it's coming. Sorry. So that was that piece I want to hit on. And the second piece out of this chapter, let's hit on, so on page 121, there's another image there, and it says targeted sites, targeted marketing, which in Command, you can create different landing pages for different niches. So like if you have, let's say you want to create a landing page specific to, I don't know, dog park or a buyer or a seller, the goal is create landing pages that match the niche the buyer you're going for. Or if you're doing postcards, or if you're doing mailers, anything that you're doing in general, just make sure that it all funnels up to your website. So like one example, like when you do an ad on Facebook, yeah, you're gonna have an ad that's gonna catch your attention. Maybe it's an ad for empty nesters, trying to capture that as your niche. Yet the goal here is that it's being funneled to your website. Because through your website, when they start to search and inquire and look through, guess what? You can get alerts for that. Once they've registered on your website and create a profile. So the key thing that it talks about is just making sure that you're funneling everybody to your website. And then there was one more thing. Let me see where it is that I wanted to share. Hold on. Oh, I think that was it. Yeah, the last piece there, yeah, so buyers and sellers who decide to stop being anonymous, and start the active process. Expect reasonably timed responses to their internet queries. Once they have registered or emailed you, fast response is critical. Internet usage has everyone accustomed to fast responses, so you should think in terms of responding in less than 24 minutes rather than hours. So that's the last piece. Questions? What'd you take away out of these tactics?
So my question is during.
What did we take away out of these two tactics? So we talked about getting to the table as quick as possible, being the first or second. We talked about what techniques you have to work on to get better at that. We talked about capturing, connecting, setting the appointment, and if not, cultivating the relationship. What are some of the takeaways? So let me get 3 takeaways before I let you go. Whoever wants to start.
One of the things I liked was how it said the real competition in real estate is getting to the table, not at it.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing I'll add to that, when you get to the table, do not leave without a contract. If you don't overcome objections, figure out the motivation and figure out what would cause them not to sign in that moment, just know that the next agent is probably going to be the one that's going to do it.
I think the biggest thing is that you just have to do the ask, and that's one of the things that I'm working on in myself, because I've primarily been a buyer's agent, and you know, that's all good, but in a shifting market, there's, you know, I need more, and it's the whole listing side has been really in my mind for a long time, and I haven't acted on it. And so now I'm seeing it's like really, matter of fact, when you were outside early meeting, I made a phone call that I didn't want to make. And I'm just like, I'm asked, and I'm like, you know, I know you're gonna end up having to list your house, and it's a situation, there's reasons. She has multiple realtor friends. And so I kind of got into a conversation that she's gonna, you know, go outside of her realtor friends. And I'm like, why am I going to let her do that? You know, maybe me and one of her other realtor friends can co-list together, even though we're not a team. You know, who's better to represent her? So I just asked, you know, before you make a decision, please, you know, let's have coffee and have a discussion about it.
These realtor friends are not KW friends. They're just
Well, one of them is, yes, you know. So I told you my circle is real.
yeah.
So it's just to ask, and that was an uncomfortable ask, but I asked, and you know, and I'm finding that I'm doing that a little bit easier than I used to, because I'm trying to, what something you just said, I'm just trying to get over the fear of it, yeah, and just, you know, the rejection, like the fear of rejection, you know, it's part of it. Not everybody's gonna say yes, but they're surely not gonna say yes if you don't ask.
Here's the thing, we can't if you're gonna sit back and just hope that because you know somebody that they're gonna just call on you, it's not gonna happen. You have to be the one, and just remember the saying, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. When you focus on truly cultivating relationships, the business part becomes very easy.
Yeah.
Nancy, give me one takeaway before we roll.
For me, it was capturing them. Like I've had conversations with several people, but again, I don't get that one person that tells me, okay, I'm going to sign up with you, or I want you to be my agent. And I need to get better with learning how to do that. And also with my scripts as well. I need to focus on learning the right things to say when I'm speaking to someone.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I appreciate the 3 of you jumping on. Those watching on Zoom after the fact, appreciate you all tuning in. Next week, let's see. So we just did 5 and 6. Next week we have number 7, which is pricing ahead of the market, and it's seller pricing strategies. It's somewhat of a longer chapter, so we may just do the 1 chapter next week. But if not, it's 7 and 8, and then number 8 is stand out in the competition, and it's seller staging strategies. So. All right. Appreciate you all. Have a good long weekend.
Thank you. You as well.
All right. Bye-bye.
Yeah, well,
Bye.